It started as a night meant for celebration, but it exploded into absolute chaos. Atlanta's hottest nightclub turned into a war zone when love and hip-hop stars Kirk Frost and Young Jock reportedly attacked Lil Scrappy in front of stunned fans, friends, and even cameras that weren't supposed to be rolling. What began as laughter and drinks quickly spiraled into one of the wildest, most jaw-dropping moments the Atlanta scene has ever witnessed. And trust me, this wasn't just a random fight. This was years of tension, jealousy, and betrayal finally reaching its breaking point. Witnesses say the room went from music and lights to pure madness in seconds. Scrappy had just stepped into the VIP section, dapping up a few familiar faces, when Kirk gave him that look, that cold, unreadable stare that fans of love and hip-hop Atlanta know all too well. Young Jock tried to play it cool, holding a drink, grinning that slick grin of his, but the energy, it was off. Something was bubbling beneath the surface, and everyone could feel it. The bass was booming, the DJ was spinning, but inside that VIP booth, emotions were about to explode. People who were there say the tension had been building for weeks. Rumors about Scrappy talking behind Kirk's back, whispers about Jock allegedly flirting with someone close to Scrappy, and even talk that money owed from a failed business deal had everyone on edge. But nobody expected it to go down that night, not in front of everyone, not in that violent, raw, and humiliating way. According to one witness, Scrappy was just chillin'. Bro. He was in a good mood, laughing, dancing, and then Kirk stormed over like he had something to prove. Next thing you know, drinks were flying, people screaming, and Jock threw the first punch. The crowd froze. Phones came out instantly. Security was too slow. Kirk lunged. Scrappy swung back. Jock jumped in, and suddenly, 3 of Atlanta's biggest reality stars were throwing hands like it was a championship match. Chairs flipped. Bottles shattered. Rashida screamed from the corner, trying to pull Kirk back. And when Jock yelled, "You crossed the line, Scrap," the music stopped completely. Everyone realized, this wasn't for the show. This was real. Fans on social media are losing it. Videos and voice notes are already making rounds online, and the comments are a mix of disbelief and pure shock. Some people are defending Kirk and Jock, saying Scrappy had it coming, while others are siding with Scrap, claiming the other two have been plotting against him for months. Nobody can tell what's true, but one thing's for sure. This night has changed everything between these men forever. And the craziest part, sources say the fight wasn't just about words, it was about betrayal, loyalty, and something much deeper. Something that's been brewing off camera for a long, long time. What could drive friends, business partners, and co-stars to turn on each other in such a brutal way? What secret pushed them over the edge? Keep watching, because what happened after the brawl will shock you even more. The lights of Atlanta shimmered across the city skyline that night, as if the streets themselves could sense something was about to erupt. Inside the exclusive Velvet Room nightclub, the air pulsed with bass, perfume, and tension. Every VIP booth was filled. Every bottle sparkled in the dim glow of chandeliers. It wasn't just another night out, it was the kind of night people would still be talking about years later. No one could have predicted that this was the night Kirk Frost, Young Jock, and Lil Scrappy would collide in an explosion of betrayal, anger, and ego that would shake the entire love and hip-hop scene to its core. Scrappy arrived first, stepping through the doors with his signature swagger, surrounded by his crew. The crowd turned as he entered, some cheering, some whispering. His energy was light at first. He had a fresh deal coming up, a new track dropping soon, and he wanted to celebrate. He wasn't even supposed to be at that club. It was a last-minute decision after another party got shut down. He didn't know Kirk and Jock were already there, sitting in the back, sipping quietly, watching the room. Kirk sat slouched in the corner booth beside Rashida, his wife, trying to keep a low profile. But even low profile for Kirk Frost meant diamonds, designer, and that cold, unreadable expression that always made people uneasy. Rashida looked stunning, smiling for the cameras, pretending not to notice the way Kirk kept checking his phone. Every few minutes, his expression hardened a little more. Jock, on the other hand, was loud as ever, laughing, telling stories, entertaining the people around him. But beneath the laughter, his eyes were darting around the room, and anyone who looked closely could tell he was on edge. It started with a rumor, a whisper that had been floating through Atlanta's nightlife for weeks. Some said Scrappy had disrespected Kirk during a business meeting. Others said Jock had been flirting with someone close to Scrappy, too close. Whatever the truth was, it had created a storm of resentment that no one could contain. And that night, with alcohol flowing and egos colliding, the storm finally hit. When Scrappy spotted Kirk across the room, his smile faded for just a second. The crowd around him kept moving, but his eyes locked on Kirk's like magnets drawn by tension. Kirk didn't move at first, but Rashida noticed. She leaned toward him, whispering something like, "Don't start tonight, baby." "Not here." Kirk didn't answer. He just kept staring. Jock followed his gaze and exhaled sharply, muttering under his breath, "Aw hell, not again." Scrappy's crew sensed it too. One of his friends leaned in and said, "Yo, Scrap, let's just chill. Man, we ain't here for all that." But Scrappy shook his head slowly, the corner of his mouth twitching into something between a smirk and a warning. He started walking toward Kirk's section, the crowd partying like the Red Sea, as phones quietly lifted into the air. Everyone in that club knew they were about to witness something they shouldn't but couldn't look away from. "What's up, Kirk?" Scrappy's voice cut through the music as he stopped in front of their table. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just said it with that sharp tone that carried a lifetime of unspoken history. Kirk looked up, expression calm, eyes cold. "Scrap," he said flatly. "Didn't expect to see you here." Rashida's hand shot out, resting on Kirk's arm, but he didn't move. Jock shifted uncomfortably, looking between them. "Man, y'all both trippin'." Jock tried to laugh, but the tension was electric. Scrappy leaned forward. "I heard what you said, Kirk. I heard you been talkin'." "Token." Kirk raised an eyebrow, voice smooth but sharp. "You mean tellin' the truth?" "Yeah, I been talkin'." That was it. The crowd went quiet. The music still thumped, but it was background noise now. Scrappy's jaw tightened. "Truth? What truth? That you mad 'cause I ain't jump on your project? That you still bitter over that money?" Kirk stood slowly, towering over the table. Rashida whispered his name again, but he ignored her. "Nah, Scrap, I'm mad 'cause you a snake. You smile in people's faces and talk behind their backs. You owe folks and act like you forgot." The crowd gasped. Someone said, "Oh," out loud, and even Jock winced. Scrappy took a step closer, his hands balling into fists. "You callin' me a snake, Kirk, after all the dirty moves you pulled? Man, stop playin' with me." Rashida stood up then, trying to get between them. "Not tonight, y'all, please," she pleaded. But the fire was already lit. That's when Jock stood, trying to defuse it, but instead he made it worse. "Look, both of y'all been actin' wild lately. Scrap, you been talkin' slick, and Kirk, you been letting folks gas you up. Y'all need to." Before he could finish, Scrappy turned on him. "Oh, so you token to now? You supposed to be my bro Jock. What you sayin' behind my back?" The crowd reacted instantly. Phones up, flashes going off. The DJ finally noticed the silence and tried to switch tracks, but it was too late. The energy was pure chaos. Jock sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Man, don't do this right now." Scrappy stepped closer. "Nah, you gone, tell me what you said." That's when Kirk snapped. Maybe it was the liquor, maybe it was pride, maybe it was years of unresolved tension, but he shoved Scrappy back, hard. The sound echoed through the club, glass rattling on nearby tables. The crowd screamed. Scrappy stumbled, then came right back swinging. Fists flew, chairs crashed, and in seconds, the velvet room was a battlefield. Rashida screamed Kirk's name as security rushed in, but it was already too wild. Jock tried to grab Kirk from behind, yelling for him to chill, but Scrappy caught Jock with a quick hit across the jaw. That was the breaking point. Jock's drink flew from his hand, shattering on the floor, and his entire demeanor changed. "Nah, brr, you done messed up now," he roared, lunging at Scrappy with all the anger he'd been holding back. The three men collided in a storm of fists, shouting, and glass. The crowd backed up, some laughing in disbelief, others terrified. Someone yelled, "They fightin' for real." Over the noise, security finally broke through, grabbing at arms, trying to separate them, but the damage was done. Scrappy's chain snapped and hit the floor. Kirk's shirt was ripped down the middle. Jock's lip was bleeding. And through it all, Rashida stood frozen, her eyes wide, shaking her head like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. It took 5 guards to pull them apart. Scrappy was dragged one way, still yelling, "I ain't scared of none of y'all." Kirk was pulled in the opposite direction, chest heaving, eyes burning with rage. Jock wiped blood from his mouth, pointing across the room. "You gon' regret that, Scrap? I promise you that." The club fell into a stunned silence after that. People whispered, some crying, others filming, everyone trying to process what had just happened. The DJ cut the music completely. Outside, the flashing lights of police cars reflected off the club's glossy walls. Someone from Kirk's team was shouting into a phone, trying to get their lawyer on the line. But the real story, the one nobody saw, was happening backstage. In that dim hallway where the three men were kept separate but close enough to shout at each other, Kirk paced, fists clenched, muttering, "He crossed me, man. He crossed me for the last time." Jock leaned against the wall, breathing hard, shaking his head. "This gone get ugly, brr. Real ugly." And in another room, Scrappy sat alone, silent for once, staring down at his broken chain, his mind replaying every word that led to that fight. Outside, the fans were going crazy. Phones out, live streaming, everyone speculating. Kirk and Jock jumped Scrappy. One girl yelled to her friend, "Nah, Scrap hit first." Another shouted back. Nobody knew the truth, but everyone had a version of it. That night, Atlanta social media lit up like wildfire. Videos posted within minutes went viral before sunrise. Fans flooded the comments with shock memes and theories. Some claimed Scrappy was betrayed by his closest friends. Others said Kirk and Jock had been planning to confront him for months. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag ClubFightATL. Hashtag ScrappyVs, JOC. Hashtag KirkFrostDrama. It wasn't just gossip, it was a cultural moment. But what nobody realized yet was that this fight wasn't just about words or pride. It was the surface crack of something much deeper, a business betrayal, and a love triangle tangled in lies. And the fallout from that night would only grow louder, darker, and more dangerous as the days unfolded. And as the club finally emptied out, with sirens echoing down the street and flashing lights fading in the distance, one thing became clear to everyone who was there. This was no stunt, no storyline, no TV script. This was real, and it was far from over. Outside the club, the night air was thick with smoke and tension. The flashing red and blue lights from police cars painted the pavement like a warning. Fans and onlookers crowded the sidewalk, whispering, pointing, recording every second on their phones. Someone screamed that Scrappy had been jumped, while another insisted that Kirk and Jock were the real aggressors. The truth was blurred, but the energy was raw, electric, dangerous, impossible to ignore. Scrappy, still seething, was escorted to the police car, his hands cuffed loosely but his glare cutting through the night like a blade. He didn't speak. He didn't even acknowledge the crowd. The adrenaline from the fight had given way to a calm fury. The kind that makes everyone around you nervous without you saying a word. Inside the car, he replayed the confrontation in his head, every word, every shove, every punch. He could feel the tension that had been simmering for months finally boil over. Kirk and Jock, separated by another unit, were equally silent, though their minds raced differently. Kirk sat in the back of a cruiser, shirt ripped, face tight with rage, muttering to himself, "He thinks he can play me. Think he can cross me? Nah, brr. Nah." Jock, on the other hand, was pacing in his seat, wiping blood from his lip, trying to calm down but failing. "This gone get messy," he whispered. "Scrap ain't gone, let this slide. Nobody gone, let this slide." Back at the club, the patrons were buzzing. Some people had fled, terrified, while others stayed behind to gossip, film, and tweet. Bartenders whispered about the chairs and bottles smashed, the chaos that had erupted in mere seconds. The VIP section, usually a place of glamour and privacy, looked like a war zone. Upturned tables, broken glass, and crushed designer shoes littered the floor. Everyone who had been inside that night knew one thing for certain: Atlanta would never forget this. Meanwhile, Rashida was pacing outside, trying to call Kirk's manager, then Jock's team, then anyone she could think of. She kept muttering, "What the hell happened? What the hell happened?" Her phone buzzed constantly with messages from fans, friends, and even some media outlets begging for a statement. She ignored most of them, focusing only on Kirk. She knew him better than anyone, knew the pride and anger that could flare in seconds. But even she hadn't expected him to explode like that in public. Inside their separate cars, Kirk's mind drifted to business. Not the legal kind, but the kind that cut deeper. Scrappy had crossed him in a deal months ago, and Kirk had stayed quiet, hoping it could be fixed quietly. But now, with Jock involved and the club incident public, it was impossible to ignore. "I can't let him get away with this," Kirk muttered, gripping the door handle tightly. The reality TV cameras might have caught the tail end, but the story behind it, the secrets, the betrayals, was still buried. Scrappy, on the other hand, was thinking about reputation. Every second this story circulated online would affect him, his music, his business, even his personal life. Fans were picking sides, friends were whispering behind his back, and family members were calling, trying to understand what had happened. He clenched his fists, staring out the window at the empty streets. The city that had once felt like home suddenly felt like a battlefield. As the night deepened, social media exploded. Fans uploaded blurry videos, some showing the shoves, some capturing Jock's hit, others capturing Kirk's shove. The hashtags trended, and speculation ran wild. People debated endlessly, did Scrappy provoke it, or were Kirk and Jock the instigators? Was this the start of a feud, or just a single night blown out of proportion? The comment sections were filled with wild theories, accusations, and memes. Celebrities weighed in, adding fuel to the fire. The drama wasn't just contained to Atlanta, it was spreading nationwide. Meanwhile, in a private hotel suite, Kirk, Jock, and their closest allies were plotting. Not a single word of apology had been exchanged, and emotions ran high. "He can't just walk around like nothing happened," Kirk snapped. Jock nodded, his jaw tight. "We need to handle this carefully, but firmly. Scrap gone, push. He gone, respond, and we can't look weak." Their team debated legal angles, social media strategy, and how to protect their reputations. But beneath all of that, the raw emotion of betrayal hung like smoke in the room. On Scrappy's side, things were no less tense. He called friends and collaborators, venting his anger, recounting the fight, reliving every insult and punch. His family was divided, some urging him to let it go, others insisting he needed to retaliate. "I ain't gon' be played like that," Scrappy said, pacing in his suite. He thought about Kirk, Jock, Rashida, and everyone in the VIP section. Trust had been shattered in minutes, and the ripple effects would be felt for weeks. As the sun began to rise, news outlets picked up the story. Clips from the night were everywhere. The headline read something like, "Atlanta Chaos, Love and Hip-Hop Stars in Nightclub Brawl." The article mentioned every detail, every person involved, and every rumor that had already been swirling online. The city buzzed with speculation, interviews, and eyewitness accounts. Fans were still stunned, replaying the fight in their minds, trying to make sense of the intensity, the anger, and the history behind it. But the fight outside the club was only the beginning. Sources close to the situation revealed that there had been weeks of tension leading up to this moment. Phone calls ignored, messages deleted, secret meetings behind closed doors, all culminating in that violent explosion. The truth was, Scrappy had been suspicious of Kirk for months, worried about money, deals, and loyalty. Jock had tried to mediate, but found himself caught in the middle, his own pride and ego complicating everything. Inside private conversations, the three men replayed the night endlessly. Kirk described Scrappy as disrespectful, Jock described Scrappy as reckless, and Scrappy described both Kirk and Jock as traitors. The story had split into three narratives, each more dramatic than the last. Friends tried to intervene, family pleaded for calm, but the damage had already been done. Alliances shifted, old wounds reopened, and the simple act of showing up at the same club had ignited a powder keg. Fans speculated wildly about hidden motives. Some suggested a secret business deal gone wrong. Others whispered about personal betrayals and flirty behavior behind closed doors. No one knew the whole story, but the lack of clarity made the situation even more intoxicating for the public. Every new post, every new clip, every new comment became another piece of the puzzle, fueling the drama like gasoline on fire. Throughout the city, whispers traveled from one club to another, from radio stations to podcasts, each version more dramatic than the last. Friends, ex-lovers, collaborators all had opinions. Some aligned with Kirk, defending his honor. Others sided with Scrappy, claiming Jock had provoked the situation. The lines were drawn, and loyalties were tested. Everyone realized this wasn't just a fight, it was a war of reputation, pride, and unspoken grudges that had been simmering for years. As night turned to morning, a single truth emerged: nothing would ever be the same. The Velvet Room, once a symbol of glitz and glamour, would now be remembered as the place where Atlanta's reality TV scene exploded into chaos. Fans replayed the footage, influencers debated endlessly, and the three men were left to navigate the consequences of their actions. What started as an ordinary night out had become a defining moment, one that would change careers, friendships, and relationships forever. But even as they planned their next moves, private conversations, and social media responses, a deeper tension remained unresolved. Nobody had addressed the core issue: the secrets, the betrayals, and the grievances that led to that fateful night. And as Atlanta woke up to headlines, notifications, and buzzing phones, one question hung over everything: how far would they go to protect their pride, their power, and their reputation? And just as the city began to stir, another twist was waiting to be revealed. One that would make the night's events seem tame compared to what was about to unfold. The drama had only just begun, and everyone watching knew that the real story, the one that would shake the foundation of friendships, business, and family ties, was still unfolding behind closed doors. As Atlanta slowly woke to the aftermath, the drama didn't stay confined to the streets or social media, it seeped into every corner of the city. Radio hosts dissected the incident with glee, fans argued endlessly online, and everywhere you looked, the night's chaos was the only thing anyone could talk about. But behind the cameras and posts, the three men were already plotting, strategizing, and burning with rage, each believing they had been wronged the most. Scrappy had returned to his hotel suite, pacing like a lion in a cage. His phone buzzed constantly, calls from family, friends, collaborators, and even random fans who somehow had his number. He ignored most of them, focusing instead on piecing together what had happened. He replayed Kirk's shove, Jock's punch, the looks, the whispers. Every detail was etched in his mind. "They gon' pay for that," he muttered under his breath, fists clenching so tightly his knuckles went white. It wasn't just about pride, it was about respect, reputation, and finally setting the record straight. Meanwhile, Kirk was in a private penthouse with his team. His shirt still torn, his jaw tight, he was pacing like a predator. Jock had joined him, nursing a swollen lip, but with his ego intact. The conversation was tense. "Scrap ain't gone let this slide," Jock said, breaking the silence. Kirk didn't respond immediately, his mind running through every insult, every slight he shouldn't have pushed. Kirk finally said, voice low but sharp. He had months to fix his mess. "Now it's too late, we can't look weak. We can't let him make us look soft." Their manager tried to mediate, suggesting a public statement, but Kirk waved him off. "Nah, this ain't about press releases. It's about loyalty, bro. It's about showing who runs this game." Jock nodded, but the tension between them was palpable. Even though they had acted together that night, old grudges and egos made every sentence dangerous. One wrong word, one slip, and they could be back at square one fighting among themselves as the city watched. Scrappy wasn't idle either. He called his closest confidants, laying out a plan. "We gon' keep our heads cool for now," he said, pacing the room. "But I ain't letting this slide. Kirk, Jock, they think they can humiliate me in front of everybody and get away with it. Nah, not happening." He thought about every camera angle, every witness, every social media clip. This wasn't just a fight. It was a war of public perception. The more he stayed quiet, the more he risked losing control of the narrative. The next day, Atlanta was buzzing with gossip. Clips from the nightclub were edited, slowed down, and replayed on TV shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels. Fans argued over who hit first, who was justified, who had the bigger ego. Hashtags like #Scrappy, vs.JOC, #KirkFrostfight, and #ATLClubChaos trended nationwide. The city had become a pressure cooker of speculation and outrage, and everyone knew it. This story was far from over. Inside private conversations, tensions escalated. Sources revealed that Kirk had been suspicious of Scrappy for months, not just about business but personal matters as well. Whispers of betrayal, backdoor deals, and alliances broken had simmered quietly until that night. Jock, caught in the middle, was trying to remain neutral publicly, but privately he was boiling. He had his own pride at stake, his own reputation, and his own grudges against Scrappy that no one else knew about. Scrappy, for his part, reached out to a few influential friends in the music industry. He wanted allies, backup, people who could help him control the narrative. He didn't want retaliation. He wanted vindication. Every phone call, every message, every whispered strategy was a step in his plan to make sure he didn't come out of the nightclub incident looking like the loser. As the days passed, the drama grew even more tangled. Kirk and Jock met in private multiple times, strategizing on how to respond to media questions, how to handle fans, and how to maintain their image. Every plan was laced with tension. One wrong step and they could reignite the violence, or worse, alienate their fanbase. They debated everything from subtle social media posts to private messages, each word carefully crafted, each movement calculated. Scrappy, meanwhile, wasn't sitting back. He started documenting everything: videos, screenshots, statements from witnesses. He wanted evidence, not just for the public, but for any potential legal fallout. He also reached out to friends in the club scene who had been there that night, asking them to share their perspective, subtly shaping the story without outright lying. It was a dangerous game, but one he had to play perfectly. Family drama also intensified. Rashida, caught in the middle, was trying to keep Kirk calm while simultaneously managing the fallout with her own social media presence. She posted vague statements, subtle enough to show support but careful not to escalate the conflict. Meanwhile, Scrappy's family weighed in behind the scenes. Some urging him to forgive, others telling him to stand his ground. Loyalties were tested, alliances were questioned, and emotions ran high on all sides. Friends, collaborators, and industry insiders added another layer of tension. Some took Kirk's side, citing his history and influence. Others defended Scrappy, pointing to the fact that he had been publicly humiliated. Jock's reputation was also at stakes, saw him as the instigator, others as the peacemaker. Every opinion, every post, every public interaction became part of the larger drama, fueling the fire and making reconciliation seem impossible. Meanwhile, the nightclub itself became a point of interest. The management released a statement about an altercation between patrons but offered no names. Fans and media speculated endlessly. The Velvet Room, once a glamorous hotspot, was now forever associated with chaos, violence, and scandal. It wasn't just a location, it was a symbol of the night. Everything went wrong. As social media buzzed, the three men's private interactions continued to escalate. Texts leaked, rumors spread, and every small action was magnified. Kirk sent cryptic messages to Jock. Jock responded with subtle threats to Scrappy, and Scrappy posted vague statements hinting at betrayal. The drama was no longer just a physical fight. It had become a psychological chess game, each trying to outmaneuver the others without letting the public see their vulnerabilities. Even casual fans couldn't escape it. Everywhere you went, someone was talking about the fight. Taxis, restaurants, gyms, and shopping centers buzzed with speculation. Memes, videos, and gossip circulated like wildfire. Influencers posted dramatic reenactments. Radio hosts made exaggerated claims. The city's entire entertainment ecosystem had been hijacked by one night of chaos, and the effects would ripple for weeks. As the tension mounted, new twists began to emerge. Insiders whispered that there had been secret meetings between Kirk and other industry figures long before the nightclub incident. Others claimed that Scrappy had received warnings from friends about Kirk's intentions. Jock's role, previously seen as minor, was now being questioned. Some said he had pushed the fight further, others said he had tried to prevent it. The narrative was fracturing, making it nearly impossible to know the truth. Friends of all three men were forced to pick sides. Some refused, claiming loyalty to both parties. Others made public statements, subtly supporting one side. The media ate it up, presenting every statement as evidence of alliances and betrayals. Family members weighed in, sometimes contradicting each other, further complicating the story. The tension wasn't just personal, it was public, and the stakes had never been higher. As night fell again over Atlanta, the city remained on edge. The nightclub incident had set off a chain reaction of gossip, speculation, and tension that showed no signs of slowing. Kirk, Jock, and Scrappy each retreated into their private worlds, planning their next moves, strategizing, and steeling themselves for what would inevitably come next. The fight wasn't over, not physically, not socially, not emotionally. And just when everyone thought the story had peaked, new information began to leak. Witnesses claimed there had been a third altercation backstage after security had supposedly separated them. Private messages hinted at secret betrayals and old grudges being reignited. Social media accounts suggested that a leaked audio recording existed, capturing conversations that could change public opinion entirely. The tension was building toward something even bigger, something no one had yet seen. The city watched, waiting. Fans debated, alliances were tested, and the drama deepened. The nightclub incident, already legendary, was proving to be just the beginning. Every move, every post, every whisper added fuel to the fire. The question on everyone's mind: how far would they go before it spiraled completely out of control? The night ended with no resolution. The three men were separated, but their minds were racing. Messages had been sent, plans had been made, and the next steps would determine the trajectory of not just their personal relationships, but their careers, reputations, and the city's perception of them. The tension was unbearable, and the city knew it. Atlanta would never forget this night, and it was clear that the drama was far from over. As the sun rose over Atlanta the following morning, the city was still buzzing with the aftermath of the nightclub chaos. News outlets had plastered the story across every platform, from TV to social media. Each clip edited to exaggerate the tension, each headline more dramatic than the last. Fans speculated endlessly, some claiming Scrappy had been set up, others insisting Kirk and Jock had orchestrated the entire altercation. The city had become a living rumor mill, and the three men at the center of it were already feeling the pressure. Scrappy woke in his hotel suite to a flood of messages, screenshots of videos, eyewitness accounts, and even cryptic posts from unknown accounts filled his phone. He scrolled quickly, heart pounding, realizing that his private anger had turned public spectacle. The fight, already legendary, was about to escalate even further with the leaks and whispers spreading like wildfire. He knew he needed to respond but carefully. One wrong word could ruin him. Kirk, meanwhile, had barely slept. The images of Scrappy's glare, Jock's shout, and the chaos that unfolded in the velvet room haunted him. His pride had been wounded, his authority challenged, and he wasn't about to let anyone see him falter. Jock was pacing beside him, his lips swollen, his shirt still showing remnants of the previous night's scuffle. "We can't let this slide," Kirk said, voice low and intense. "People think we're weak. They think we lost control. We need to take the narrative back." Jock nodded, but his mind was racing. He had always been the mediator, the peacemaker, but last night had forced him into a role he didn't fully embrace. He clenched his fists, remembering the adrenaline, the shouts, the way Scrappy had turned on him mid-fight. "We gotta be smart," Jock muttered. "One wrong move, one bad post, and this explodes even bigger." Scrappy's team suggested a public statement, but he hesitated. He wanted to control the story, not just react to it. He wanted people to understand that he hadn't backed down, that he hadn't been humiliated, and that he was still standing tall despite the chaos. Private meetings were scheduled, phone calls made, and alliances tested. Every step was calculated, every decision weighed against the potential fallout. The nightclub itself became a focal point again. Videos from security cameras allegedly surfaced, showing blurry figures, hand movements, and chaotic motion. People claimed to have insider knowledge of conversations and secret altercations that had happened backstage. The leaks were endless, and the city's gossip network devoured every detail, embellishing some, fabricating others. Every new rumor added pressure, tension, and intrigue to an already volatile situation. Friends and family of all three men were drawn into the whirlwind. Rashida, trying to maintain peace, struggled to manage her public image while privately calming Kirk. She posted carefully crafted social media statements, supportive but neutral, designed to show solidarity without inflaming the situation. Meanwhile, Scrappy's family debated the next move, some urging him to let it go, others insisting he confront Kirk and Jock directly. Loyalties were split, and tensions ran higher with each passing hour. New revelations began to surface. Insiders claimed that Jock had been acting as a silent instigator, whispering to both parties, fueling the tension without anyone noticing. Others said that Kirk had a long-standing resentment toward Scrappy, not just for business but for personal slights dating back years. Scrappy himself heard rumors that his own crew had leaked information about his past dealings, making him question who he could trust. The layers of drama were stacking higher, creating an almost unbearable pressure. As the story continued to spread, social media reached fever pitch. Fans debated endlessly, who had started it, who was right, who was wrong. Clips were slowed, paused, replayed, and dissected frame by frame. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag Scrappy vs JOC. Hashtag Kirkfrost vs Crap. Hashtag ATL, Club War. Influencers posted reenactments, exaggerated accounts, and their own opinions. Memes went viral, and commentary channels dissected the incident with both humor and outrage. The fight had transcended reality TV, had become a cultural moment, impossible to ignore. Kirk and Jock spent the day strategizing. Every post, every statement, every response had to be calculated. Kirk's pride demanded dominance, while Jock's experience demanded caution. They discussed alliances, potential threats, and how to handle Scrappy's inevitable retaliation. The tension between them was palpable. One wrong move, one miscalculated post, and the fragile truce between the two men could shatter. Scrappy, in parallel, was mobilizing his own network. Collaborators, friends, insiders all were contacted, briefed, and enlisted to help him control the narrative. He wanted to ensure his version of events was heard, his reputation defended, and his power maintained. Every phone call, every meeting, every whispered conversation was part of a calculated campaign. He knew the fight had ended physically, but the war was far from over. Meanwhile, fans continued to speculate wildly. Some claimed Scrappy was plotting a public confrontation. Others said Kirk and Jock were planning a surprise counterattack. Every rumor, true or false, added fuel to the fire. The nightclub incident was no longer just a single event, it had become an ongoing saga. A reality TV drama played out in real life, with real consequences, and no one could predict how it would end. Tensions flared within the families as well. Rashida faced backlash from fans for supporting Kirk, while also being criticized for not condemning the violence. Scrappy's family was split between those who wanted him to fight back and those urging caution. The internal conflicts mirrored the public spectacle, adding emotional weight and depth to the ongoing drama. Loyalty, betrayal, and pride intertwined, creating a perfect storm. New alliances began to form. Insiders hinted that other reality TV personalities were reaching out, offering support, advice, and strategy. The night's events had repercussions far beyond the Velvet Room, shaking the entire social network of Atlanta's entertainment scene. Every conversation, every private message, every call was analyzed, dissected, and speculated upon. The incident had become a living entity, growing more complex by the hour. As the day progressed, private tensions escalated into new confrontations. Scrappy allegedly confronted members of Kirk's team, questioning loyalties and motives. Jock had private discussions with mutual friends, trying to mediate while simultaneously protecting himself. Kirk, refusing to back down, continued to plan his next move. The web of tension, suspicion, and strategy grew denser, making every interaction a potential powder keg. Social media became a battlefield of its own. Fans created polls, debates, and conspiracy threads. Commentators speculated about hidden motives, secret alliances, and past grievances. Every clip from the nightclub was scrutinized repeatedly. The public obsession with the drama grew, making it impossible for any of the three men to escape scrutiny. Every action, post, or statement would be interpreted, twisted, and magnified, escalating the conflict further. As night fell once again, a new twist emerged. An alleged leak surfaced, suggesting that there had been a private confrontation the night after the nightclub incident, one that nobody had expected. Whispers of heated arguments, secret threats, and hidden betrayals circulated, further complicating the narrative. The city was abuzz, and the drama showed no signs of slowing. Kirk, Jock, and Scrappy were now fully entrenched in a psychological chess game, each move calculated to defend pride, assert dominance, and protect reputation. Alliances were tested, friendships strained, and every decision carried the weight of potential disaster. The nightclub brawl had ignited a fire that could not be easily contained. Even as the public watched and speculated, the private tensions grew more dangerous. Friends, family, collaborators, all were caught in the crossfire, their loyalties tested and their judgment questioned. The drama was no longer just personal, it had become a cultural event, a saga of ego, pride, and betrayal that would dominate headlines and social feeds for weeks to come. By the end of the fourth day, one thing was clear. The fight had only escalated. The narrative was fragmented, full of rumors, leaks, and conflicting accounts. The public was obsessed. Social media was on fire, and Atlanta itself seemed to pulse with the energy of the ongoing drama. Kirk, Jock, and Scrappy were all aware of the stakes. Their reputations, their relationships, and even their careers hung in the balance. And just when it seemed like the story couldn't get any more intense, another revelation loomed on the horizon, a secret so explosive, so personal, that it threatened to upend everything that had happened so far. The tension was about to reach a breaking point, and no one, not fans, not family, not the three men themselves, could predict how it would unfold. The city of Atlanta had barely caught its breath from the nightclub chaos when whispers of a deeper secret began to circulate. Insiders claimed that the fight had not been about pride or ego alone. There was something more personal, something that threatened to expose long-buried betrayals. The anticipation was electric. Fans speculated endlessly, journalists dug feverishly, and every friend and family member involved felt the tension rising like a storm on the horizon. Scrappy couldn't ignore the rumors. He sat alone in his hotel suite late at night, scrolling through social media. Seeing posts, clips, and comments that hinted at a secret everyone was desperate to uncover. He clenched his jaw, heart racing, knowing that the truth could either vindicate him or destroy him completely. He called his closest allies, whispering details, confirming facts, and trying to piece together what he actually knew. He had to be careful. One misstep, one leaked word, and everything he had fought to protect could crumble. Kirk, on the other side of town, was equally restless. The private information circulating was enough to make anyone uneasy, and he couldn't shake the thought that someone close to him might be leaking details. JOC was pacing beside him again, nursing both pride and paranoia. "We can't trust anyone right now," Kirk muttered, rubbing his temples. "Everybody's got an angle. Everybody's watching." Jock nodded, understanding the stakes. This wasn't just about the nightclub fight anymore. It was a war, a battle of reputation, loyalty, and secrets. Back at Scrappy's place, the tension escalated further when a leaked audio clip surfaced online. It was short, distorted, but enough to set the internet ablaze. Voices could be heard arguing heatedly, accusations flying, and the intensity of the confrontation was unmistakable. Fans immediately speculated it was Kirk and Jock talking about Scrappy behind his back, plotting the attack. Others said it was a private confrontation after the brawl, proving that the fight wasn't over. The clip spread like wildfire, shared across Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, fueling endless debates and chaos. Scrappy's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Family, friends, fans, and even industry insiders called, texted, and messaged, all reacting to the new leak. He paced the room, trying to think clearly. The adrenaline from the nightclub fight was back, this time mixed with paranoia and strategic calculation. "They think they can humiliate me twice," he muttered. "No, I ain't letting this happen." Every detail, every whisper, every rumor now mattered. Every move he made had to be precise. Kirk and Jock weren't idle either. They met privately in a penthouse suite, discussing the leak and its implications. Kirk's voice was low and tense. "If that clip gets tied to us, it's over. The city, the fans, everybody will turn on us." Jock rubbed his lip, thinking carefully. "We need to control the narrative. We can't be reactionary, we have to be strategic. This is bigger than one fight. It's about legacy, power, respect." Their alliance was fragile. One wrong word could shatter it completely. Meanwhile, the drama began spilling into their professional lives. Collaborators, sponsors, and business partners reached out, concerned about the public perception. Some tried to mediate, others threatened to distance themselves. The stakes had moved beyond personal vendettas. Every deal, every appearance, every interaction was now influenced by the nightclub incident and the leaks that followed. The ripple effects were impossible to ignore. Scrappy called his team together, formulating a plan. He wanted control of the narrative, a chance to defend himself publicly without appearing aggressive. He scheduled interviews, coordinated with allies, and even considered a social media statement. Every word would be carefully chosen, every move deliberate. He couldn't afford mistakes. The city was watching, fans were obsessed, and the pressure was immense. Kirk, feeling the heat, also began plotting. He consulted legal advisors, managers, and a small circle of trusted allies. "We can't just sit back," Kirk said, pacing the room. "Scrap's trying to spin this. Jock, we need to decide how far are we willing to go to protect ourselves." Jock hesitated. He had always been cautious, but pride and loyalty demanded action. They discussed strategies, social media posts, private confrontations, and even potential collaborations to regain public favor. As the tension simmered, family dynamics became more complicated. Rashida struggled to balance public appearances with private loyalty. She posted subtle messages online, trying to appear neutral while protecting Kirk, but the backlash was immediate. Fans speculated that she was taking sides, fueling more drama. Scrappy's family, meanwhile, was split, some advising patience, others pushing for a direct response. Every decision, public or private, carried emotional weight and potential fallout. Insiders hinted at additional twists. Some claimed that Jock had been secretly communicating with Scrappy before the fight, possibly trying to manipulate both sides. Others alleged that Kirk had long-standing grievances that were never fully addressed, now exploding publicly. The web of secrets, alliances, and betrayals became increasingly complex, making it nearly impossible for anyone outside the circle to understand the full truth. Social media continued to amplify the drama. Fans created polls, debates, and speculation threads, dissecting every clip, every word, every image. Commentators and influencers added their own takes, often exaggerating or fabricating elements to keep audiences engaged. The public obsession became overwhelming, creating pressure that neither Scrappy, Kirk, nor Jock could escape. Every action was scrutinized, every misstep magnified. Meanwhile, in private, Scrappy considered a bold move a direct confrontation with Kirk and Jock. But in a controlled environment, he wanted answers, accountability, and a chance to assert dominance without the chaos of the nightclub. His advisors warned against it, citing risks of violence and public backlash, but he was determined. Pride, reputation, and unresolved anger drove him. Kirk and Jock, on the other side, were also preparing. They discussed potential meetings, private strategies, and even contingencies in case Scrappy escalated publicly. Every detail mattered, every word, every gesture. Every interaction could influence public perception and the delicate balance of power. The tension was palpable, almost suffocating. As days turned into nights, the three men found themselves in a constant state of alert. The public was watching, leaks were appearing, and rumors were spreading. Friends, collaborators, and family were all caught in the crossfire, unsure who to trust, what to say, or how to act. The nightclub fight had ignited a chain reaction of drama, mistrust, and strategic maneuvering that seemed impossible to control. Just when it seemed like things couldn't escalate further, a new leak surfaced, a private conversation suggesting that there had been plans for the nightclub incident long before it happened. Whispers of premeditation, secret alliances, and hidden grudges flooded social media. Fans speculated wildly, journalists demanded answers, and the pressure on all three men intensified. This was no longer just a personal feud, had become a public spectacle of manipulation, strategy, and betrayal. Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock were now fully entrenched in a psychological battle. Every decision, every interaction, and every statement was calculated for maximum impact. Alliances shifted constantly, trust evaporated, and the city watched with rapt attention. The nightclub fight had been the spark, but the fire was spreading in every direction, threatening to engulf every. By the end of Part 5, it was clear that nothing would ever be the same. Secrets, betrayals, and public pressure had created a situation with no easy resolution. The nightclub incident was only the beginning. The real drama, the long-term consequences, and the ultimate confrontations were still to come. Atlanta, and the fans who lived for reality TV chaos, were on the edge of their seats, waiting for the next explosive move. The days following the nightclub brawl turned into a non-stop storm of drama, tension, and anticipation. Atlanta's streets, social media feeds, and even late-night radio shows were consumed by the story, replaying every angle, every rumor, every leaked snippet over and over. Fans argued endlessly, influencers speculated wildly, and the three men Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock were constantly on edge, aware that the city was watching their every move. Scrappy, still burning with anger, decided it was time to take control. He arranged a private meeting with some of Atlanta's most trusted insiders. The room was tense, smoke curling from half-burned cigars, phones set aside, and eyes darting nervously. "Listen," Scrappy began, voice low but filled with fire. "We're not letting them spin this story. They tried to humiliate me, manipulate me, and control the narrative. Nah, that ends now." His team nodded, understanding the stakes. Every plan, every message, every public statement from this point forward had to be calculated to perfection. Kirk, meanwhile, was hunkered down in his penthouse, pacing like a predator circling prey. Jock sat nearby, tapping his fingers nervously, his swollen lip still faintly bruised. "Scrap's gonna try something," Kirk muttered, staring out at the city lights. "We can't let him get away with it. This isn't just about a fight, it's about respect, reputation, legacy. We gotta play chess, not checkers." Jock nodded in agreement, though his mind was racing. Every move they made now had consequences, and one wrong step could reignite violence or ruin careers. Tensions escalated further when a series of private messages allegedly leaked online. Fans and journalists dissected every word, twisting meanings, questioning motives, and fanning the flames of speculation. One post suggested that Jock had secretly encouraged Kirk to confront Scrappy, while another hinted that Scrappy had been plotting a public response for weeks. The lines between truth, rumor, and fabrication blurred, and the drama intensified. Scrappy decided to strike strategically. He scheduled a private studio session with a select group of allies, making sure cameras and fans were kept away. The plan was simple: prepare a statement, coordinate with insiders, and control the narrative before Kirk and Jock could act publicly. As he walked into the studio, his phone buzzed relentlessly, updates from social media, messages from friends, even texts from family expressing worry. He ignored most of them, focusing only on the immediate plan. This was war, and he had to win. Kirk and Jock, aware that Scrappy was making moves, responded in kind. They called a series of meetings, reaching out to their closest allies, lawyers, and media consultants. Every detail mattered. Every public appearance, social media post, and interview had to be precise. They couldn't allow Scrappy to dominate the conversation or paint them as aggressors. The tension between Kirk and Jock was also palpable, though allies. Their egos and differing strategies caused subtle friction. One misstep, one misinterpreted post, and the fragile alliance could crumble. As days turned into nights, the city remained captivated. The nightclub incident had exploded into a multi-layered saga of betrayal, strategy, and public spectacle. Fans speculated endlessly about secret meetings, hidden motives, and possible revenge plans. Every video, every rumor, every post became ammunition in the ongoing battle of reputations. Scrappy, determined to maintain the upper hand, decided to go public but carefully. He scheduled an exclusive interview with a major media outlet, crafting every word with precision. His goal was clear: assert control, defend his reputation, and subtly shift public opinion in his favor. The interview was tense, the questions probing, the energy electric. Scrappy remained calm, measured, but every sentence carried the weight of a man determined to reclaim his honor. Kirk, watching the interview from his penthouse, felt a mixture of anger and calculation. Jock leaned back, observing both his friend and the unfolding narrative. "He's trying to play chess," Jock said quietly. Kirk's jaw tightened. "Yeah, but we're not checkers," he replied, voice low and sharp. The game was far from over. As the week progressed, rumors of another possible confrontation began circulating. Insiders claimed that Scrappy was planning a public appearance in the city, intentionally placing himself in the spotlight to assert dominance. Kirk and Jock, not willing to be overshadowed, discussed counter-strategies, considering appearances, statements, and social media tactics to maintain control of the narrative. The city held its breath, aware that any public interaction could spark another explosive incident. Meanwhile, private tensions within families and friend groups intensified. Rashida faced increasing scrutiny for her loyalty to Kirk, while some of Scrappy's closest allies debated whether to intervene directly or stay in the background. Loyalties shifted, friendships strained, and the emotional toll was becoming undeniable. The drama was no longer just public, it was personal, consuming the lives of everyone involved. Then came another bombshell. A new video surfaced online, allegedly showing a heated exchange between Kirk and Scrappy before the nightclub incident. The clip was short, blurred, and open to interpretation, but it was enough to send fans and journalists into a frenzy. Debates erupted on social media, theories multiplied, and the story became even more complicated. Every person who had previously sided with one party now questioned their stance, fueling a cycle of speculation, anger, and obsession. Scrappy, seeing the new clip, decided to double down. He coordinated with insiders to release clarifying statements, ensuring that his perspective was heard before Kirk or Jock could respond. The plan was meticulous: control the narrative, protect his reputation, and subtly discredit the opposition without appearing aggressive. Every phone call, text, and meeting was part of a carefully orchestrated strategy. Kirk and Jock, aware of the potential impact, ramped up their own response. Private meetings, consultations with legal advisors, and strategic discussions dominated their days. They were prepared to counter every move, anticipate every rumor, and defend their reputations at all costs. The tension between the three men had transformed into a full-blown war of perception, pride, and influence. As the city watched, the drama reached new heights. Every action, every post, every public appearance was analyzed, dissected, and discussed endlessly. Fans created elaborate theories, memes went viral, and every new leak or rumor became instant news. The nightclub incident, once a single chaotic night, had blossomed into an epic saga that captivated an entire city and beyond. In the midst of this chaos, the personal stakes became undeniable. Scrappy reflected on his legacy, Kirk contemplated his authority and influence, and Jock navigated the fine line between loyalty and self-preservation. Every decision, every word, every move carried weight. The emotional, social, and professional consequences were immense, and the pressure was unrelenting. And just when it seemed like the story couldn't escalate further, a new revelation emerged, a secret that threatened to shift the balance entirely. A trusted insider hinted at hidden alliances, private grudges, and personal betrayals that had been concealed for years. The city erupted in speculation, fans debated endlessly, and the three men knew that the next move could redefine everything. The tension was at a breaking point. Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock were each aware that the saga was no longer just about a nightclub fight. It had become a complex web of loyalty, betrayal, reputation, and personal stakes. The public was obsessed, the media relentless, and every private move scrutinized. Nothing would ever be the same again. The city of Atlanta seemed to pulse with anticipation. Every club, street corner, and social media feed was alive with speculation. Insiders whispered that the secret hinted at by the mysterious source wasn't just about the nightclub fight, was about personal betrayals, hidden business dealings, and alliances that had been forming in the shadows for months, if not years. The three men Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock were now not just fighting for pride, but for control over a story that could define their legacies forever. Scrappy, sensing the storm, intensified his strategy. He arranged a private meeting with select friends, collaborators, and trusted insiders in a discreet downtown loft. The atmosphere was tense, thick with smoke and whispered plans. "Listen," he said, pacing slowly. "This ain't just about that night. It's about reputation, respect, and survival. Kirk and Jock think they can play me. Nah, that ends now. Every move, every word, every post counts. We control the narrative, or they bury us." Nods of agreement circled the room. Everyone understood the stakes. One wrong move could spark another public explosion. Kirk, on the other side of the city, met with his team in a luxury penthouse overlooking the skyline. Jock was present, silent, observing, while Kirk's voice cut through the room. "We can't let Scrappy dominate this story. The city already has doubts about us. If he spins this, we lose everything. We need to anticipate, counter, and protect ourselves." Jock interjected carefully, "We gotta stay ahead. Every post, every interview, every interaction has to be calculated. This isn't just a feud anymore, it's a war." Meanwhile, rumors of a potential public confrontation started circulating. Fans speculated about possible meets, studio sessions, or even spontaneous appearances in Atlanta's clubs. Every sighting, every cryptic social media post, every vague comment was dissected. People debated whether Scrappy was planning a dramatic reveal, if Kirk and Jock would retaliate publicly, or if a final showdown was inevitable. The anticipation was nearly unbearable. Scrappy's team pushed for action. He decided to leak a controlled piece of information to select influencers and media outlets, a calculated teaser hinting at the private secrets without revealing the full details. The clip was short, dramatic, and enough to ignite further speculation. Fans shared, debated, and analyzed every frame. The public frenzy escalated, and the three men realized that the battle had now moved completely into the court of public opinion. Kirk and Jock immediately reacted. Private calls, urgent meetings, and strategic planning dominated their day. "We can't let this get out of hand," Kirk said, staring at the city lights from his high-rise balcony. Jock nodded, voice tense. "We respond carefully, but decisively. If Scrappy thinks he can play this game better than us, he's mistaken." Their alliance, though strong, was tested constantly by the high-stakes ego and differing approaches to strategy. As the week unfolded, the pressure intensified. Insiders leaked conflicting accounts of what had happened before, during, and after the nightclub incident. Some claimed Scrappy had secretly confronted Kirk weeks prior, others said Jock had encouraged tensions, and a few even hinted at betrayals involving people close to both parties. The narratives multiplied, each more dramatic than the last. Social media feeds exploded with hashtags, debates, memes, and theories. Hashtag #AdolClubOde, hashtag Scrappy Revenge, hashtag Kirk and JOC domination dominated trending lists. Scrappy, recognizing the importance of controlling perception, scheduled a private interview with a respected journalist. Every word was meticulously prepared. He wanted to assert dominance without appearing aggressive, defend his reputation, and subtly undermine his opponents. The interview, once released, immediately became viral, sparking new waves of discussion, analysis, and speculation. Fans dissected each phrase, searched for hidden meanings, and speculated about future moves. Kirk and Jock watched closely. Their strategy meetings became more intense. "He's trying to spin this," Kirk muttered, voice low and tense. Jock rubbed his face, frustration and pride battling within him. "We need to hit back smart, not reactive, strategic. We can't let him dictate the story." Every post, every message, every public appearance was debated, revised, and recalculated. The stakes had become monumental. As tensions escalated, private family dynamics added another layer of drama. Rashida attempted to maintain neutrality publicly while privately supporting Kirk, but she faced criticism from fans and insiders alike. Scrappy's family was divided between caution and encouragement for retaliation. Loyalties, friendships, and personal relationships were being tested like never before. The emotional toll was immense. Then came an unexpected twist. A new leak suggested that there had been discussions of alliances beyond the known circle, whispers of other reality TV personalities, influencers, and industry insiders secretly communicating with Kirk. Jock, or Scrappy hinted at possible betrayals, manipulations, and strategic partnerships nobody had anticipated. The city went wild, speculating who was aligned with whom, and the tension reached near boiling. Scrappy, unwilling to let the narrative spiral out of control, continued with a controlled release of his version of events. He posted subtle hints, engaged select influencers, and coordinated with media allies. Every move was calculated to build suspense, assert control, and protect his reputation. Meanwhile, Kirk and Jock were forced to adapt continuously, reassessing alliances, monitoring leaks, and preparing for the next public move. Atlanta became a stage. Every appearance in public, every cryptic post online, every interaction in a studio or club was analyzed, replayed, and theorized about endlessly. Fans created elaborate timelines, debates raged on across platforms, and even casual observers found themselves obsessed. The nightclub fight had evolved into a multi-layered saga of secrets, strategies, and power struggles that seemed to have no end. Scrappy, now fully aware of the magnitude, planned a potential public confrontation but carefully. He considered live events, media appearances, and controlled interactions designed to assert dominance while avoiding direct physical conflict. Kirk and Jock, aware of these possibilities, coordinated strategies to anticipate, deflect, and respond. The tension was now both public and private, psychological as much as reputational. With each passing day, the story intensified. New rumors, new leaks, and new speculations kept fans and media constantly engaged. Each player, Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock, was acutely aware that a single misstep could redefine everything. Reputations, relationships, and influence were all at stake, and every decision carried enormous weight. And just when it seemed like the drama had reached its peak, yet another revelation loomed. A private conversation, allegedly recorded months prior, hinting at motives, grudges, and plans that went far beyond the nightclub incident. The public frenzy erupted again. Speculation soared, and the three men realized that the stakes had escalated to a level that would define the rest of their careers. The psychological chess game continued. Scrappy carefully monitored every response, every leak, every post. Kirk and Jock strategized relentlessly, balancing caution with aggression. Alliances shifted subtly behind closed doors, trust eroded, and the city remained captivated, watching every move, every hint, every reaction. Atlanta was no longer just the backdrop. It had become a living, breathing participant in the drama. Every fan, every influencer, every journalist became part of the unfolding saga. The nightclub fight was no longer a single event. It had evolved into an ongoing, high-stakes battle of strategy, ego, and reputation. And in the shadows, the anticipation grew. Every follower, every insider, every media outlet knew one thing for certain. The next move would be explosive, the next reveal, monumental, and the story far from over. Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock were now locked in a contest of wills, cunning, and saga that the city, the fans, and the media would follow with bated breath for weeks, if not months, to come. The tension had reached a fever pitch. Atlanta streets, radio stations, and social media feeds were ablaze with speculation. Every sighting of Scrappy, Kirk, or Jock was dissected. Every cryptic post analyzed, and every whispered rumor treated like breaking news. Fans debated endlessly, influencers posted exaggerated theories, and journalists scrambled to uncover the next revelation. The nightclub fight was no longer just a single incident. It had become a saga of power, betrayal, and high-stakes drama that seemed to grow with each passing hour. Scrappy, realizing the story had taken on a life of its own, decided to escalate carefully. He arranged for a controlled appearance at a popular downtown radio station. The goal was clear: assert control, clarify the narrative, and subtly undermine Kirk and Jock without appearing confrontational. As he walked into the studio, flashes from cameras and the buzz of recording equipment set the stage. His presence alone commanded attention. His reputation, pride, and strategy now converged into one calculated performance. Inside the studio, Scrappy's voice was steady but sharp. "Last night was chaotic," he began, eyes glinting with determination. "People are spinning stories, making assumptions. Let me be clear. Respect is earned, loyalty matters, and I don't back down when someone crosses the line." His words were measured, but every inflection carried the weight of a man reclaiming control. Listeners hung on each word, knowing that this was a strategic move in a much larger game. Kirk and Jock, watching from separate locations, felt the impact immediately. Kirk's jaw tightened, eyes narrowing as he watched Scrappy dominate the narrative without even mentioning names. Jock muttered under his breath, "He's good at this. We have to be smarter, faster, more precise. The duo began recalibrating their strategy, considering appearances, statements, and social media moves designed to counter Scrappy's momentum. Meanwhile, rumors of a possible public confrontation began to spread. Fans speculated endlessly about studio appearances, club sightings, or even staged events designed to assert dominance. Every ambiguous post, every blurry photo, every subtle hint from insiders fueled the frenzy. The anticipation was palpable. Atlanta, and the world, were waiting for the next explosive moment. Scrappy didn't stop there. He coordinated with select influencers to drop subtle hints about hidden alliances and private grievances, teasing more revelations to come. His social media activity was calculated, each post timed for maximum impact, and each interaction carefully curated to maintain public attention. Fans shared, debated, and theorized, spreading the drama even further. Kirk and Jock, now feeling the pressure, escalated their efforts. Private meetings, consultations with lawyers, and strategic discussions consumed their days. They considered counter-interviews, exclusive stories, and social media maneuvers to regain narrative control. The tension between Kirk and Jock was subtle but present. Ego, pride, and differing approaches to strategy created constant friction, but both understood the stakes. One misstep could undo everything. Family and friends were not spared from the chaos. Rashida faced backlash for her public support of Kirk while simultaneously trying to maintain neutrality. Scrappy's inner circle debated the timing and content of his next move, weighing potential backlash against the necessity of asserting control. Loyalties shifted subtly, trust eroded, and the emotional stakes grew higher by the hour. Then came another twist. Leaked footage surfaced showing an exchange between Scrappy and a previously unknown party, hinting at hidden motives and private planning long before the nightclub incident. Fans immediately theorized about premeditation, secret deals, and personal grudges. Social media exploded, with debates, hashtags, and speculation flooding feeds. The story had grown from a physical altercation to a multi-layered narrative of secrets, strategy, and revenge. Scrappy's response was strategic. He released a short, controlled statement online, clarifying key points while leaving enough ambiguity to maintain suspense. Every word was designed to assert dominance, protect reputation, and subtly redirect attention away from himself and onto Kirk and Jock. The public frenzy intensified, with fans and journalists dissecting every syllable for hidden meaning. Kirk and Jock, not to be outmaneuvered, began implementing their own coordinated plan. Meetings, strategy sessions, and discreet consultations with insiders dominated their days. They discussed public appearances, cryptic social media posts, and subtle narratives to counter Scrappy's influence. The chess game had intensified, with each side anticipating the other's next move while trying to maintain control in the court of public opinion. Atlanta became a theater of tension and speculation. Every club appearance, every radio interview, and every social media post was analyzed for clues, motivations, and hidden alliances. Fans created timelines, conspiracy theories, and polls to predict the next moves of Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock. Influencers staged reenactments, added commentary, and fueled public obsession. The nightclub incident had grown into a living, breathing saga, captivating the city and beyond. Private pressures mounted as well. Scrappy, constantly monitoring public reaction, coordinated with his inner circle to control the narrative, anticipating leaks and countering them with strategic releases. Kirk and Jock, similarly, analyzed each public response, preparing for possible escalations while balancing internal tensions. Alliances shifted subtly, trust was tested, and every decision carried high stakes. Then, just as the drama seemed unstoppable, a final twist emerged. An insider claimed knowledge of a secret meeting between all three men, suggesting the possibility of a confrontation designed to resolve the feud once and for all. Speculation reached a fever pitch. Would this be a final showdown, a mediated settlement, or a dramatic public spectacle? The city waited, breathless, knowing that the next encounter could define the legacies, reputations, and careers of all involved. Scrappy, Kirk and Jock prepared in silence, aware that the public's attention was absolute. Every move, every word, and every glance would be scrutinized, and the consequences of any misstep could be monumental. The nightclub brawl had been only the beginning. The real saga, full of strategy, manipulation, and high-stakes drama, was about to reach its next explosive chapter. Atlanta's obsession grew with each passing hour. Hashtags, polls, live discussions, and social media speculation became a constant, echoing the intensity of the unfolding drama. The story had transcended a single event. It was now a citywide spectacle of pride, strategy, and psychological warfare, with fans, family, and insiders all watching intently. And in the shadows, each man Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock prepared for the next move, knowing that the stakes had never been higher. The public watched, the city buzzed, and the tension hung thick in the air. Nothing would ever be the same again. The saga continued, relentless, unpredictable, and impossible to ignore. The anticipation in Atlanta reached an almost unbearable level. Every fan, influencer, and media outlet was fixated on Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock, wondering when, where, and how the next dramatic chapter would unfold. The nightclub fight, once an isolated incident, had now become a sprawling saga of ego, loyalty, and reputation, stretching far beyond the city's borders. Scrappy decided to escalate further. He organized a surprise appearance at one of Atlanta's trendy spots, a high-profile listening party for a friend in the music industry. Cameras were everywhere, flashes illuminating the room, fans whispering, and social media ready to explode. Scrappy's presence alone sent shockwaves through the crowd. Whispers of anticipation and speculation spread instantly. Would he confront Kirk and Jock? Would there be another clash? The tension was electric. Meanwhile, Kirk and Jock had been tipped off about Scrappy's appearance. They deliberated privately, debating whether to show up, issue statements, or wait strategically. Kirk's voice was sharp, tinged with pride and anger. If he wants drama, we give him drama, but smart. We don't play reckless. Jock nodded, adding, every move counts. One wrong step, one misinterpreted glance, and it blows up beyond repair. Their alliance, though strong, was constantly tested by ego, differing strategies, and public scrutiny. Inside the listening party, Scrappy was calm, controlled, and commanding. He interacted with fans, collaborators, and insiders, but his every gesture and word was calculated. Social media lit up instantly, with clips and stories showing Scrappy asserting presence and influence. Hashtags like #Scrappy on top, #ATL drama, and #nightclub aftermath trended almost immediately. The public frenzy intensified. As the night progressed, whispers circulated that Kirk and Jock had arrived nearby, watching from a discreet location. Tension mounted as the possibility of an unexpected confrontation grew. Fans speculated endlessly: was this going to be another brawl, a public showdown, or a calculated move in a psychological chess game? The suspense gripped Atlanta like never before. Scrappy, fully aware of the attention, continued with subtle power plays. He spoke with influencers, dropped hints of private secrets, and subtly alluded to past betrayals. Each word, carefully chosen, fueled speculation and positioned him as the dominant force in the ongoing saga. The city watched, obsessed, analyzing every gesture for hidden meaning. Kirk and Jock, feeling the pressure, began to strategize in private calls, rapid consultations, and urgent meetings dominated their night. They debated every possible move, weighing the risks of confrontation versus public statements. Their tension was palpably pride and strategic thinking collided as they attempted to anticipate Scrappy's next actions. Meanwhile, social media frenzy reached a new peak. Fans debated endlessly over what would happen next. Conspiracy threads, polls, and memes spread like wildfire. Insiders leaked partial information about past conversations, private meetings, and secret alliances. The story, once a nightclub brawl, had evolved into a sprawling, multi-layered drama encompassing loyalty, betrayal, and strategic dominance. Scrappy, sensing the pressure, decided on a final calculated move for the night. He approached the center of the listening party, microphone in hand, and addressed the crowd indirectly. Knowing cameras and social media would capture every word. "Respect ain't just given," he said, voice steady and intense. "It's earned. Loyalty matters. And nobody can undermine me and get away with it." The room erupted in applause, flashes, and whispers. The statement, while indirect, was unmistakable in its power. Kirk and Jock, observing remotely, felt the impact immediately. Kirk's jaw tightened, his eyes flashing with determination. Jock leaned back, frustration mingling with pride. "He's trying to control the story," Jock muttered. "But we're not done yet. It's our move next." Their private deliberations intensified, focusing on strategy, influence, and public perception. The game had reached a new level of intensity. Family and friends of all three men were caught in the escalating drama. Rashida faced criticism for perceived bias, while Scrappy's inner circle debated whether to push further or wait for Kirk and Jock's next move. The personal stakes were now intertwined with public perception, making every decision critical. Loyalties shifted subtly, trust was tested, and the emotional intensity increased. Then came a shocking leak. A video clip surfaced online showing a heated private argument between Kirk and Jock discussing Scrappy weeks before the nightclub brawl. Fans immediately speculated about premeditation, secret plotting, and hidden grudges. Social media erupted. Journalists analyzed every frame, and hashtags exploded. The story had escalated yet again, adding layers of intrigue and tension to an already volatile saga. Scrappy, seizing the opportunity, coordinated a controlled response. He posted subtle hints online, engaged select influencers, and released statements designed to clarify his position while maintaining suspense. The strategy was precise: dominate the narrative, protect reputation, and subtly undermine Kirk and Jock without direct confrontation. Fans, journalists, and insiders dissected every word, fueling the fire further. Kirk and Jock, unwilling to be outmaneuvered, ramped up their strategy. Private meetings, consultations with media experts, and discreet interventions consumed their days and nights. They planned every appearance, every post, and every possible interaction to counter Scrappy's influence. The tension between the two men was subtle but palpable. Ego, pride, and differing strategies created constant friction, even as they united against a common opponent. Atlanta had become a stage for psychological warfare, ego, and strategic dominance. Every public interaction, social media post, and media appearance was scrutinized. Fans theorized, journalists speculated, and the city held its collective breath, knowing that the next move could redefine the saga entirely. The nightclub brawl had long since passed, but its ripple effects now controlled the narrative, the attention, and the public obsession. As the night deepened, anticipation reached a fever pitch. Whispers suggested that a private meeting between Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock could be imminent, a face-to-face encounter that might resolve the feud, escalate it, or create yet another public spectacle. The city, glued to social media feeds, waited with bated breath, knowing that the next chapter could be explosive, unpredictable, and unforgettable. Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock were now fully aware the game was no longer just about a nightclub fight. It was about legacy, reputation, influence, and control of the narrative. Every move was calculated, every gesture scrutinized, and every decision carried the weight of potential triumph or disaster. The saga, relentless and captivating, had become the defining story of Atlanta's entertainment scene, and the next move would determine everything. And there you have it, the chaos, the betrayals, the explosive drama that has gripped Atlanta and captured the world's attention. The nightclub brawl, the secret alliances, the leaks, the confrontations, everything has been building toward this point. Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock are locked in a battle of wits, ego, and strategy, and the stakes have never been higher. But here's the thing, the story isn't over yet. Fans, insiders, and the city itself are waiting, watching, and wondering, what's next? Who will make the next move? Who will dominate the narrative? Who will fall victim to their own pride? You, yes, you watching this right now, are part of this story. Your opinions, your theories, your excitement, your outrage, they all feed into the energy of this saga. Atlanta, and the world, are waiting to see who will control the drama, who will assert their dominance, and who will come out on top. Scrappy is ready to assert himself, Kirk is plotting his next move, and Jock is carefully balancing loyalty, pride, and strategy. Every moment matters, every decision counts, and every reaction could spark the next headline. Imagine being there, witnessing the tension in real time, feeling the adrenaline, the anticipation, the raw energy of the drama unfolding. That's what we're bringing you here. Every detail, every whisper, every secret, every scandal. This isn't just entertainment, it's a front row seat to the most intense reality TV-inspired conflict you've ever seen. You're seeing the emotions, the strategies, the alliances, and the betrayals in a way no one else is capturing. And trust me, the story is far from over. And here's the kicker. This is where you come in. We want to hear your thoughts, your theories, your predictions. Who do you think has the upper hand? Who do you believe is controlling the narrative? Are you Team Scrappy, Team Kirk, Team Jock, or maybe Team Chaos? Because let's face it, the drama is bigger than any one person. Your voice matters, your opinions matter, and the conversation isn't complete without you participating. Drop your comments, debates, and hot takes in the section below. Let the world know where you stand. But don't just stop there. Smash that like button if you're feeling the intensity, the adrenaline, the pure, unfiltered chaos that comes with a story this big. Every like, every share, every comment fuels this saga, amplifies the drama, and helps us bring you even more of the stories you crave. If you're obsessed with reality TV level intensity, with celebrity drama, with moments that leave the city buzzing and the fans shocked, then you know exactly what to do. Hit that like, because trust me, the next chapter is going to be even more insane. And subscribe. Oh yes, subscribe, because you cannot afford to miss what's coming. Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock are just getting started. The secrets, the confrontations, the betrayals, they're piling up, and you want front row access. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and be the first to know when the next explosive twist drops. The world is watching, Atlanta is watching, and you should be watching too. Don't get left behind while the drama unfolds. It's too juicy, too intense, too unpredictable. Let's talk about the power of discussion. Every comment you leave, every theory you share, every debate you spark helps shape the narrative. Fans are not just spectators, they are part of the story. So, get vocal, argue your case, predict the next move, defend your favorite, call out the betrayal, celebrate the wins, dissect the strategies, share your insights. The more you participate, the more alive the story becomes. Your voice is part of the chaos, part of the energy, part of this unstoppable whirlwind of drama. And yes, the drama has lessons too. Pride, loyalty, betrayal, strategy, these aren't just words. They're the forces driving this story forward. Think about how Scrappy navigates challenges, how Kirk plots, how Jock balances the chaos. There's brilliance, cunning, and raw emotion at play. And you, watching, can learn from it, laugh at it, gasp at it, and yes, even apply the intensity of this storytelling to your own life. Maybe not the fights, but the strategy, the timing, the control of the narrative. It's all there, served on a silver platter of reality TV style chaos. So don't just scroll past. Engage, like, comment, subscribe, share, discuss, debate, speculate. The energy you bring feeds the fire, fuels the drama, and ensures that this saga keeps escalating. Every single interaction, every click, every word typed into that comment box, every like, every share, it matters. It keeps the story alive, it keeps the players on their toes, and it keeps Atlanta buzzing. You are not a bystander. You are part of the spectacle. And remember, the story is far from over. Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock are not done. Secrets remain hidden, alliances remain unstable, and the tension continues to build. The next confrontation could be public or private, subtle or explosive, but one thing is certain: the city, the fans, and the world will be watching, and you should be too. Stay engaged, stay alert, and stay ready, because the next twist, the next revelation, the next drama, is coming faster than anyone can predict. So here's the final word. If you're invested in the chaos, if you thrive on drama, if you live for the tension, the strategy, and the emotional roller coaster, then this is your moment. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and get ready to witness every moment as it unfolds. Your participation is the spark that keeps the story blazing, the energy that fuels the drama, and the voice that joins a city in suspense, obsession, and fascination. Don't just watch, engage, react, and become part of the legacy of this explosive saga. Atlanta's drama, Scrappy's defiance, Kirk's strategy, Jock's balance, it's all here, all alive, all in motion. The next move could change everything. The next revelation could shock the world. The next confrontation could leave everyone stunned. And you, yes, you watching right now, are part of it. Your opinions, your reactions, your excitement, they make this story bigger, juicier, and more unforgettable than anyone could imagine. So hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay glued to this saga. This isn't just entertainment. This is history in the making, drama in the purest form, and an unstoppable whirlwind of ego, strategy, and high-stakes conflict. And the next chapter, oh, trust me, it's coming, and it's going to be wild. Don't blink, don't scroll, and don't miss a single second. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay part of the story, because Scrappy, Kirk, and Jock are about to take this drama to levels nobody has ever seen before, and you get to witness it all. Live unfiltered and unforgettable. The city waits, the fans wait, and the world waits. And now, it's your turn to step into the chaos.